Welcome to the Uncensored Journey podcast, a raw, unfiltered guide to the truths that matter. We are diving deep, getting real about what it takes to truly transform inside and out. Ready for truth? Ready for transformation? You're in the right spot. I'm Cindy, and with me is Gabriella. Let's get uncensored. Today, we're going to be reviewing my very favorite book in the whole entire world that changed my life for the better, and that is The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. And I'm going to let Gabriella take it away.
Thank you, Cindy. I'm so excited to learn all about this amazing book. I've heard a lot about it. It sounds transformational and life-changing, and I can't wait to learn about your perspective and what are some practical ways through which you implemented its lessons and wisdom. So tell me, what was your favorite law? And how did you implement it? Like, how did you intertwine it with your reality?
Well, I'm going to answer that question, but before I do that, I just wanted to start off by saying that this book has a lot of, it was written a long, long time ago. It has a lot of references to the Bible and to God. And though I think that the Bible is a book of wisdom and guidance that's for like life lessons and individuals vary on religious backgrounds, but I do think that it contains a wealth of teachings and stories and principles that can be applied to different aspects of life. I'm not religious, nor do I promote any religious affiliation. And God is a higher power to a lot of people. I use God as an acronym, like for good orderly direction or goodness on demand, and don't use it as my higher power looks something different. So just wanted to throw that out there before we got started, because that could be a turnoff for some people, and it was for me at first as well. But my favorite, the law that attracted me the most, I guess, is the law is the law of attraction, right? Like you can attract anything to yourself. Um, you can you draw everything to you. Like you have all the positive outcomes, you draw positive outcomes, you draw the negative outcomes, and everything is, you're attracting everything to you. And so I think that that was one of the biggest lessons that I learned in this book. And like one of the very first pages, she talks about like, like what if you're like, don't get stuck living a life um, that doesn't belong to you. I'm paraphrasing. I have the real quote here and I'll read it in a second, but that always sticks with me because like we attract what we think about, we attract what we think we want, right? And if we're spending too much time trying to attract the wrong things, then we could be living somebody else's life, like or a life that doesn't belong to us, and like that's why things go wrong, right? That's what I think. And the actual quote is, many people, however, are ignorant of their true destinies and are striving for things and situations that do not belong to them. Like that, it was like, that's on like page 5. That's on page 5. And I was like, whoa, this book is going to be crazy. Because I never thought about that before. Like I spend so much time trying to forcing things to happen that at the end of the day doesn't matter. And looking back on my life, all of the things that I tried to force to happen, and it ended up not happening, and I was crushed, but ended up being, like, looking back, ended up being one of the best things to happen in my life. So just having that faith that like everything will work out. Sorry, long answer.
Oh, that's awesome. So the law of attraction. So when you say like focusing on you have the power to attract everything in your life. Like what specifically, and like what was the first thing that you really worked with once you started reading this book and implementing its strategies?
Honestly, the very first thing was, I know this sounds super silly, but I needed like a little side table to go next to my couch in my house. And I had been reading this book and I was like, let's see if this shit works. And so I went to go get a pedicure. And this sounds like the super bougie story, but stick with me. I was sitting there in getting a pedicure, reading this book, and put it to side. I closed my eyes and I was like, I need a side table, but I also needed to be what I can like I need it to be inexpensive, I need it to be black, I need it to be like this high, I need it to be whatever. So I closed my eyes and I was like, okay, these are this is what I need to like find when I go. And so I left and I drove by a thrift store and I was like, let me just go check it out because I like old furniture. I think it's kind of fun. So anyways, I went into the thrift store and like literally sit like right there was this end table, black end table, right height, $25 exactly on the nose. And I was like, wow, okay. So I bought it. I was like, I gotta get this because the thrift store wasn't a place that I had planned on going, but it was put in my path. So I was like, I'm just gonna follow do the next indicated step, just keep following my intuition. And and then I ended up with this table that I love. I still have it to this day, and it's I call it um my manifestation table because I love it.
Okay. So if I hear you correctly, the way to manifest is to visualize what you want and then be super, super specific and then be very intentional with knowing that you're going to find it. Is that how you approached it?
I did, but I think that that's the key to manifesting things is being very, very specific because I could say like, well, okay, for example, like my dad was really sick and my mom was kept saying like, I want to win the lottery, I want to win the lottery, I want to win the lottery, and then my dad got better, and that could be a that could be winning the lottery, like she won the lottery of life, right? And so I think you just have to be very specific in what you're asking for and what you're visualizing for because it's up to interpretation, right? Just like when we're having a conversation and I say something, you're going to interpret it different than maybe I mean because that's how our brains work. So I feel like that's how like the laws of the universe work as well, is that it's up for interpretation. So if you're not super super specific in your wants and needs, the universe is going to just give you whatever it like thinks you're talking about. But the flip side to that is back to that like living the life that doesn't belong to you. um I feel like the law of attraction is like this or something better. So I
Mhm.
never know that it's something's going to be better until I don't get what I want. I was like, oh, this is better than what I had expected. Um, so it's just a matter of like really focusing in on what you want, how you want it, but also letting go of the outcome because you might not get exactly what you want, but you'll probably get something even better.
I love that. That's awesome. And I agree 100%. So, in this book, how can the people reading it balance the active visualization and positive thinking with taking steps towards their goals? Like, how can they balance those things out?
Um, it- I think that as long as you're making, my opinion is that if you're making momentum progress, like forward momentum, like make forward momentum, whatever, like the universe is going to see that you're trying to make things happen. So um as long I just I'm super big on gratitude. I think like if you're grateful for everything you have, like things along the way, I celebrate things. I have I think I've mentioned on this podcast before, I stay confetti ready, so I'm constantly thanking the universe for little things in my life, and I celebrate with confetti, biodegradable. It doesn't harm the earth. But I always like I say my ABGs, right? Always be grateful. Always be grateful for what you have get along the way. And I think like staying in an attitude of gratitude definitely helps keeping that positive mindset because my I have a really good friend who always tells me like you can't have faith and fear at the same time. So like staying in gratitude and appreciating what you have when you have it is also a way to stay out of fear. Like that's actually something that I've highlighted that I eventually will talk about, but fear definitely is like is just like bugs in a garden. It just eats everything great, and it doesn't allow for your garden to bloom.
Mm. Yes, I love the confetti. That's so freaking awesome. I hope that one day we'll be in the same space where we get to use it together.
I'll send you an envelope of confetti.
Love that. So tell me, are there any other laws that you want to highlight or aspects of the book that really stood out to you besides the art of attraction and manifestation? Like, what is the other big thing that you want to highlight here?
Yeah, I there's also like the law of forgiveness and the law of karma, and like that was very big for me too, because I had to really realize that forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for me. And I can't move forward until I forgive somebody for something, whatever it is. Um, and there's there she writes in very like old-timey type of language, because she knows the early 1900s, late 1800s, but she talks a lot about like attracting things, like, so like back to the law of karma. Like I think everything kind of goes back to the law of attraction, even though it's the law of forgiveness or the law of karma or the law of non-resistance. It all, I think, goes back to the law of attraction, because if you're like stuck in an if you're stuck with anger and you're stuck in that mindset and you're not using the law of forgiveness, then like you're not able to attract the good things in your life, right? And if you're resisting things in your life, then like again, you're putting a block to things that can be great. If you are like what is it, the law of love and like all of those things, like if you're blocking those things, everything is going to be nothing is going to go right if you're just continually blocking the flow of all the goodness that's in your heart, or that's in your life. And that's why, going back to my acronyms for God, it's like goodness on demand, or like good orderly direction, because those, like your intuition, that is good orderly direction, right? Like your intuition guides you to the things that you want in your life. So I think it all in ultimately goes back to the law of attraction, but that's just my opinion.
I like that. Yeah, and I mean, I'm of the philosophy, and not everyone will agree with me here, but I believe that we all have God within us, or source, or divine energy, or whatever you want to call it. And so, God, or source, or divine energy is our intuition because it's flowing through us. So we're constantly, if we choose to listen, we're constantly receiving that information. It's just a matter of choice of whether we want to go left or right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree. And I think with that too is your intuition guides you to places that like there's not a reason to fear. I know that I used to live in a lot of fear, like afraid of almost everything. I've also probably discussed that in this podcast, but just letting shit go and like moving on. And there's actually, I'm going to read a little quote in here from her, because it's about fear, and then I'll talk about it a little bit. It says, fear must be erased from the subconscious. It is man's only enemy. Fear of lack, fear of failure, fear of sickness, fear of loss, and feeling of insecurity on some plane. So, and then there's another sentence, but whatever. And it says, so we can see we must substitute faith for fear is only inverted faith. It is faith in evil instead of good. And so you know, I think about that all the time when I'm starting to get fearful of anything, or if something is starting to feel hard, then I must be scared of something. And so I was like, that's my cue to like start really listening, honing in on my intuition. Like, what is my body telling me to do? What is my like subconscious telling me to do? And like moving forward to those things, because um what's meant for me, I can't lose. So I can be fearful all day that I won't get something that I want, but if it's mine, I can't lose it. And I I keep finding myself going back to the wisdom of Florence, because um you know, there's so many instances in life that like this stuff is true. And you know, she has influenced like the new wave of people, like the Louise Hayes of the world and the Danny Morells of the world. Like she's influenced all those people because she was spouting this stuff in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And like that's, to me, that's saying a lot, because like it's not a new concept, right? And it's super fucking simple, but it's super hard to do, right? To just let everything go and like listen to your intuition. I would say listen to your heart, but same thing, right? So yeah, there you go.
Well, I want to challenge that it's super hard to do. I think that's a limiting belief and it's a choice. Like you could choose to make it super easy or super hard. I think like the hard part is because we have been conditioned to be afraid of the unknown and to be afraid of things that are not tangible, quote unquote, or to not really dive into our intuition because it's so powerful. And if we were to choose our intuition and our sovereignty and our divine right, and then the powers to be or organizations that would benefit from us being afraid would no longer have any power over us. So I think it's a choice, right? Like we've been conditioned not to dive into self-love, not to do a lot of things, and we've been conditioned to not express ourselves and all these other things. And just as easily as we've been conditioned, we could also choose to go right instead of going left, and to choose to be in our true nature. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's actually that's kind of what I meant by that. Like, let me just clarify. Like, I meant super simple is in that like choose faith over fear, right? Just like like accept it happened, but like that's easier said than done is why I said it's hard, right? Because like you had said, there's all of these things in our environment that has given us reason to fear these things. False evidence to fear these things, right? But but we've been conditioned, like you said, been conditioned to fear these things. And so like the hard part is like doing the work, doing the figuring out who you are, figuring out how to navigate life, figuring out all the right things to do. That's the hard, that's what I meant by the hard part. Not that it was like, but anyways, continue.
No, I
I
love
think
it.
we're on the same wavelength there
Yes, yes.
as
Mo-
many things.
Most definitely. So what outside of, I know that you said that everything goes back to the law of attraction and manifestation. What practical things do you suggest to our listeners to incorporate in their daily life? Like how practically, what are one or two things that they could incorporate that would elevate their life? I know we've talked about gratitude a lot in previous episodes, and choosing to focus on the positive versus the negative. Like what else do you think would benefit our listeners?
Focus on your thoughts. Like thoughts become things, right? Like it our thoughts shape our reality. And so like pay attention to what your thoughts are. Like you know, people, my little circle of people calls it the stinking thinking, right? Like just get out of that crap, and like thoughts become things, right? Focus on your thinking. Affirmations, like saying like, you know, positive affirmations, um making sure declaring things that you want in your life, or like what you want to become in your life. I found those to be very helpful. Faith and trust that everything is going to work out. Um, like I said, what's meant for you, you can't lose. So I mean, I'm just waiting, I always used to s I say that I always used to be the one that's waiting for the other shoe to drop, like shit to hit the fan, but now I can honestly say I just wait for the next pair of shoes. Like, I'm so excited to see what the universe has next. So, like, unwavering faith and trust that the universe will just completely take care of me. The other thing is overcoming fear. Just fuck it. Like, like there's fear has acronyms too, right? Like face everything and rise, fuck everything and run, false evidence appearing real. Take what you want. But you know, essentially they all come to the same conclusion that like fear is a thought that you had. So again, like going back to thoughts, like there's like it's your reasoning in your brain as to why you're fearing these things. So there's that. And then I also think that giving and receiving, like giving freely and also being able to receive not just things, but love and kindness and just emotional things as well as tangible things. So like giving freely and receiving freely as well.
I love that. I love that. Awesome. I 100% endorse and support that.
Me too, me too.
And then if you find yourself having challenges with any of that, come talk to us. Both Cindy and I can help you troubleshoot and personalize your experience where we could help you get unstuck from any situation that you may have. Sometimes, you know, sometimes you could get information and it really clicks and it really works really well in your life. Sometimes it doesn't. And that's why we're here, right? Like we're here to support you. So thank you for
And
listening.
well, I just one more last little closing spot. Like you get what you prepare for. So if you're preparing to fail, you're going to fail. If you're preparing to succeed, you're going to succeed. So yeah, sorry. Continue on your my closing thought.
Anything else?
I can talk about this book all day long, but I think our time is limited. So I'll just stop talking now.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for listening. Please put comments in. We're eager to hear your thoughts as we move through the different episodes that we record. And as always, we'll be on next Monday with a new episode.
Like and subscribe and follow and check us out on YouTube as well. Have a great week.